I hate thunder, I hate dogs, and I hate being picked up. But when I walk into your room, the nurses knew that time is running out. I'm Oscar, a grand white stray cat. On December 8th, 2005, the nurse wearing the blue knitted hat brought me to Steere House in Providence, Rhode Island. I was only 6 months old, with a scar on my ear from being scratched by another stray cat. I didn't like the smell there. Disinfectant, medication, and the sour scent of human fear. I chose the dementia ward on the 3rd floor. It was much quieter there. The elderly were immersed in their own worlds and wouldn't constantly try to pet me like humans in other places. I enjoyed sunbathing on the windowsill outside room 307, where I could watch the sparrows in the trees. Until that night, when I sensed something. Light seeped from under the door of room 307. The elderly woman Martha, who lived inside, had a strange smell about her. Not perfume, not medication, but a scent I had never smelled before, like fallen leaves or mud after rain. Other cats had no reaction to this smell, but for me, it was a calling. I jumped onto her bed and curled up at her feet. 2 hours later, she stopped breathing. When the nurse came in, she said, "Strange, this cat never goes into patients' rooms." A week later, I smelt that scent again, this time coming from Mr. Robert in room 419. He was a retired piano teacher, his fingers always tapping silent melodies on his blanket. 4 hours later, when his breathing stopped, I felt a strange calmness. Nurse Mary frowned. "That's the second time. Oscar never gets close to patients, unless..." In the following weeks, I visited 7 different rooms, each time with the same result. Humans began to talk. "Look, Oscar is making his rounds again. Who has he chosen today?" "It's Mr. Williams in room 306. Quick, notify the family." Dr. Dosa began documenting my behavior. He followed me with a notebook, observing my every move. Sometimes they would put out tuna, trying to lure me to other rooms. But I only followed that smell. Mr. James in room 421 is particularly clear in my memory. It was a stuffy afternoon. His family gathered round the bed. 12 people, too many. A little girl in a pink dress was the first to see me. "Get that cat out!" she screamed. "Aunt Lucy said if it comes, Grandpa will die." I was thrown out the door, but James needed me. I climbed onto the windowsill, walked along the narrow ledge outside the wall to his window, and squeezed in. Around James was a light I'd never seen before, like golden ribbons, slowly rising and falling. The little girl's mother cried out, "Get it away!" But James's wife, Margaret, gently held her hand. "Don't stop it. It's not the Grim Reaper. It's here to accompany him." I curled up beside the old man's pillow. Sunlight filtered through the curtains, casting warm spots of light in the room. James's hand rested lightly on my back, then stopped moving. Surprisingly, the little girl came to the bedside and stroked my head. Oscar helped Grandpa go to heaven. Margaret's tears fell on my fur. "Thank you for staying with him. If it weren't for you, we might not have made it in time to see him one last time." In 2007, Dr. Dosa published my story in the New England Journal of Medicine. The entire hospital began the Oscar protocol. Whenever I chose a room, nurses would notify the family. They called me the Death Prophet, but they also said it was my sense of smell. The human nose could detect 5,000 scents, while cats can smell 100,000. Cadaverine, ketones, the smell of death? but for me, it was just a familiar signal. Once, a grieving husband locked me in a cleaning closet for 8 hours, as if that could stop his wife from passing. When I was released, it was too late. She had completed her final journey, alone. I was sad, not because I had failed, but because she was alone. As years passed, I discovered subtle difference in that smell. Sometimes clear as a bell, meaning time was urgent. Sometimes misty and vague, meaning the process would be slow. I even began to see things humans couldn't, a faint aura surrounding the dying, like the northern lights, slowly dancing. My fur started turning white, and my knees would ache on rainy days, but I still went. On a cold night in 2015, I felt a call from the first floor. This was rare. It was a newly admitted elderly man named Richard, with no family present, only the night nurse Diana. I struggled downstairs, each step making my joints protest, but I knew I had to go. That whole night, only Diana and I accompanied him. When dawn's sunlight shone through the window, Richard peacefully departed. Diana said, "If it weren't for you, he would have left alone." On a morning in February 2022, I smelled that scent, but this time, it came from myself. I sat on the windowsill, sunshine falling on my whiskers. 17 years, over 100 patients, I accompanied them on their final journey. Now, it was my turn. Death isn't frightening. What's frightening is having no one with you in the final moment. Oh well, actually being alone isn't so bad either. It's quieter that way. Humans always ask if I could predict my own death. I don't know. But if I could, I hope that on that day, the sunshine will still be there. And so will the sparrows